How often does it happen to you that you don't travel somewhere because it is too expensive? Well, you're not the only one, as it's probably the most common reason to not travel. It just costs too much. But what if I told you it's possible to travel anywhere you want on a budget? In this video I will show you how to do it, but not just by giving some hacks out of nowhere, but I will actually break down one of my recent travels where I went to one of the most expensive countries in the world, and I did it for less than $50 a day. Me and my wife, we always wanted to go to Norway, especially to the Lofoten Islands, which were supposed to be one of the most beautiful places on earth. But the only thing was that our budget was about $1,000 per person, and Norway is known for being extremely expensive. We always try to follow our dreams, and I knew I had my annual leave beginning of August, which is the perfect time for visiting northern Norway. So we took a shot and started planning the trip. 10 days in Lofoten, Norway. The first obstacle popped up right at the beginning when we were searching for flight tickets. Well, at first glance on the map you can tell it's not that easy to get there. It's within the Arctic Circle on the very north of Norway in a very sparsely populated area. The closest airport to Lofoten is in Bodo, where you can't get from any other airport but from Norwegian ones. We didn't want to lose time traveling by car or train, but we had to get to Norway first and from there to Bodo. Additionally, I had my annual leave the first half of August, so there was not too much space to choose from. The best deal we found was a flight with Norwegian Airlines from Krakow to Oslo and from Oslo to Bodo. For a round-trip ticket we paid $400 per person. We would usually look for cheaper options when flying within Europe, but we had no choice. So the situation started very difficult, as we had only $600 left in our budget and we haven't even started yet. We knew it's not gonna be easy, and after doing some research, we decided to buy some food before leaving and take it with us. Restaurants in Norway were way out of our budget, and as Lofoten are islands with not many people living there and that it's on the end of the world, we also knew the groceries won't be cheap either. We went mostly for some lyophilized food, which is really great for travels, especially camping and hiking. You can get a huge variety of meals for around $10 for a two-person's meal. It is a ready meal that has been dried, so it only requires to boil water and pour it into the bag, wait a couple of minutes and enjoy the meal. Although it might sound not very delicious, it's actually quite good. Usually we would use it only for hiking trips, but for that tight budget we got some for Norway too. We got 5 meals and some nutrition bars, which are very nutritious, you can tell by its name, so it can be a great snack during the day. 5 meals, some bars, that made $60 that we've spent for both of us to prepare for the trip. The budget was now $570 per person. Unfortunately, that wasn't it when it came to the cost that we had to pay before we even got to the place. When you take a closer look on the map, it turns out that the easiest way to get to Lofoten from Bodo is with a ferry. Going around would be probably even more expensive, as it would mean renting a car, so there could be only one decision. One-way ferry ticket was $50 per person. We didn't have a car yet, so the price was not that high, but it was another unexpected cost that hit our pockets. We decided to buy the ferry ticket back to Bodo when we'll be leaving, so for now it was minus $50, resulting in a budget of $520. We knew it's not gonna be easy, as we were at about half of the budget when we still didn't even leave home. A clear choice to make was to take a tent and other camping gear. We knew that in Norway you can basically camp anywhere you want, so we were hoping to save a lot of money on the accommodation, which actually didn't go that well, but we'll get to that later. But that was the reason we didn't book anything up front. We were considering renting a car when we arrived, but we also thought of using mostly public transportation, so that was only something we wanted to finally decide when we arrived to Lofoten. We arrived to Bodo late in the evening and we could witness the northern nights right away, as at 11:30 p.m. it was still bright. We had to wait a while for the ferry as it was leaving early in the morning. Since it was only a couple of hours, we didn't have an accommodation for the first night, we just took a short nap on the ferry station. We arrived to Moskenes on Lofoten in the morning, tired and with no transport organized. We have planned several hikes in different locations and to visit some of the most beautiful places on the archipelago, but these were scattered throughout the whole region, which wasn't that small to travel around. We wanted to start with a hike that was nearby the town we were at, so we decided to get some sleep in our tent and after charging our batteries, go hiking. And that's when we realized our whole plan was just useless. At first, we struggled to find a suitable spot for camping, so we knew right away it's not gonna be that easy to walk around and sleep wherever you want. The other thing was that our backpacks packed with camping gear, food and all stuff we carried was so heavy that we wouldn't be able to carry it to every hike because it would be just too much pain and sorrow. The third thing was that the public transportation was basically moving along the main road and would not take us everywhere we wanted. When we finally found a spot to camp, which was not perfect as it was just next to the road, we took a longer nap and realized that we need a car. And that was the moment we thought we were doomed. After finding a spot with Wi-Fi, we started searching for a car to rent. And not only everything we found on the most popular car rental search sites was to be found in Lofoten's capital Svolvær, which was over 3 hours bus ride away, but it was also extremely expensive. There was not a single car to be found for less than $120 per day. If we were to get a car, we would just spend all the budget and not be able to get back with the ferry. But we didn't give up and we went for googling some more options, and that's when we found a very small local car rental company where you couldn't find anything useful on their webpage but the phone number. We didn't have much choice, so I called them. After several tries, the guy from the car rental company finally picked up and said that unfortunately they have only one car left, which is available for 5 days only and is not the cheapest one. I asked for details and it turned out it was a 20 years old van which they could get us at the very spot we currently were at for $45 a day. When he said that he's sorry they didn't have anything cheaper but we can sleep in the van, we were more than happy because of how lucky we were. So it turned out it was a great deal after all, and we've spent for the van $180 for 5 days, which made our budget go to $430 per person. And when we take out the ferry ticket back to Bodo, we were left with $380 each. We knew this is the budget for which we can easily spend the rest of the days in comfort. Having the van, we saved also on accommodation, but even with the car we spent few nights in it on a camping place to be able to cook, wash, etc. Other than in the van, we mostly slept in the tent on different camping sites, for which the price for a night was about $20. In total, we've spent about $120 for the camping spots and $90 for one night in a hostel, which was a great way to get some rest and well-deserved long sleep. In total, the accommodation was about $100 per person, so we still had $280 left. The other spending were groceries. We were mainly buying some pastas, vegetable, fruit and rather cheap stuff in local shops. Although it was way more expensive than in Poland, it was not that bad as we also had the food from home. For the groceries we've spent in total about $110 and we even went to a restaurant once to try some local specialties. One dinner cost about the same as the groceries for a week and we spent about $80 for it. So for the food it was about another $100 per person. Then it was petrol for the car we've rented and basically that's it. We had still about $150 left in our budget. We were able to travel through the whole archipelago, seeing everything we wanted and spending amazing 10 days. The views were something we have never seen in our lives. So to summarize, let's have a look on the cost breakdown for the whole travel. Now, how does it apply to you and to traveling anywhere on a budget? Well, spending $450 plus tickets for 10 days in one of the most expensive places on earth is definitely a good achievement, and in my opinion it does confirm that you can go anywhere you want. Sure, The plane tickets is something that might be much more expensive if you're traveling to the other side of the planet, and sure, it might sound like we were just lucky, otherwise it could be a disaster. And although I do agree that we were lucky that we found the van, but first of all, we helped our luck searching for the best option and not going for the easiest one. And secondly, if we didn't get the car, I'm sure it would be still an amazing trip where we would come up with a different way of getting around. The biggest advantage that we had was that we had all the food and accommodation with us at all times. Camping gear is so underestimated, but actually it can make any trip extremely cheap. And I know it's not for everybody, some people prefer having more comfort, but following our dreams is more important for us. And if you too want to follow your dreams and want to learn how every travel can be the best time of your life, make sure to watch that video where I share the 5 key factors that can allow you to make your dreams come true. Cheers, safe travels and do zobaczenia!